HB-513 motor vehicles work zone speed control systems revisions, Maryland Road Worker Protection Act of 2024. Favorite report is amended and adopted.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Cecil.
Yes, I have two amendments at the desk. I'll go ahead and start with 223822-1.
Amendment number 1.
Move so much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We had some good debate on this bill yesterday, and it does have a very expansive impacts to all our constituents, as was alluded to. This first amendment is very simple in nature. It deals with the language that's outlined, and I will say that not being on the committee, it's probably unique that we're specifying a lot of what I'll just call contract language in law. However, this is impactful, and some confusion arrived yesterday when discussing the lines may be, and this dealt with the signage that indicates as you're entering this work zone what your actual speed is, and the purposes for these devices is to try to get you to slow down, and then also in knowing that there is a device ahead that could give you a ticket or infraction for speeding through that area. So to cut down on confusion, we contacted Bill Drafting, and this was their recommendation, not mine. Even though this specific paragraph refers to the signage being placed, replacing the words may be with is, we felt would be beneficial. We did have conversations with both the floor leader and the chair, as well as someone in the governor's office. They did state that this is a separate section. However, we believe that there was consensus from Bill Drafting that replacing this language would be of helpful nature. So with that, I'd move the amendment.
Clerk will take the call. The amendment fails. Are there any additional amendments to the bill to its title?
Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Cecil.
Thank you. Second bite at the apple here. I have another amendment at the desk. Amendment number 473221-1.
Amendment number 1.
Move so much be considered the reading of the amendment.
So ordered.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a little bit more substantive. As we debated yesterday, some of these work zones, especially those around our city centers, are in a perpetual state of construction. We're not talking about weeks or consecutive months, we're talking about consecutive years. As a commuter in my other life outside of the General Assembly, drive through these and they seem to just kind of be forever, whether it's an HOV lane, whether it's bridge reconstruction, overhead passes, and the like. This amendment is fairly straightforward, and the impetus behind all of this is because we want safety. We want safety for our road workers, and we completely agree with that. However, there are many instances where there are no construction vehicles, there are no construction staff on the construction site, and these projects may go weeks or months without personnel there. They have this. We're all familiar with the staging barrels or cones. Yet we ride through when we don't see anyone. This amendment is all it does is it seeks to say that at least one worker is present on the roadway construction site, whether it be the median divider, the shoulder, or adjacent to the work zone, and that precursor would allow for the speed cameras to be there, to be into effect, to be taking pictures, and to issuing citations. We feel that this is in keeping with the spirit of this legislation as it seeks to protect construction workers, and we think it'll cut down on the confusion of when these zones are being enforced. Many times, middle of the night, as I alluded to yesterday, we'll have no construction going on, but yet these devices, these vehicles, we've seen them with the apparatus there in the front, flashing the camera, blinding drivers, yet no construction's occurring. So with that, I'd like to press the amendment. Thank you.
Floor leader.
Thank you. That's a sobering statistic, and I appreciate that. It really is. But I do think that we have to take into recognition the somewhat absurdity of it's 3 o'clock in the morning And hopefully, anyone on the roads at that point in time are not under the influence of anything, and someone is driving and they're driving perfectly fine, and they approach a work zone. And, my friend from Cecil County talked about the urban work zones. I want to tell you a little bit about the non-urban work zones. For me to drive here to Annapolis from my home, I cross through 6 counties. I traverse 6 counties of the state on my way here. For much of that ride, I guarantee you that when I go home this afternoon, hopefully, Madam Chair of the Revenue Subcommittee, this afternoon, hopefully, when I return home, I will likely pass a dozen work zones. I would suggest to you that since I probably won't be driving too much of them till after 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday, there will not be a single worker, most likely, in any of those work zones. Some of them may be appropriate, and maybe there's a better way to do it, to say this one is a particularly high-volume road that we have a concrete berm and a barrier, and we have the authority to go ahead and set the speed camera and make it exist at all times. I'm going to pass ones today where your work zone is this. It's 12 orange barrels on the side of the road where yesterday the work crew was cleaning up something on the side of the road, and today it rained, and so nobody came up and cleaned out the barrels because they don't work in the rain. I don't say that to be rude. I represent highway improvement contractors in my life. Good people. They don't work in the rain. A little bit of rain comes, that's an off day. That's built into the contract. And so if it rains today and I leave the barrels up and I'm driving through it at 6 o'clock at night and I'm over the speed limit, I'm going to get an enhanced fine and a penalty. That doesn't make any sense. There's a better way to do it. I think that the gentleman from Cecil's amendment would provide a better way to do it. And all of us want to work towards highway safety. I believe this bill, I spoke to the Lieutenant Governor once about the bill. I believe it came out of a tragic, terrible situation that occurred on the Baltimore Beltway. That's not what we're talking about with this amendment. That situation, those enhanced fines and penalties, they would absolutely stay in effect because obviously those gentlemen who were killed that day, they were on the work zone and they should get the highest level of protection possible. But we shouldn't be fining and penalizing our folks for I rode by some orange cones in the middle of the night that the work crew didn't pick up. And that's the reason that I would hope that the body would consider the amendment. Thank you.